All right, guys, today we are here with Mesa City Councilman Jeremy Whitaker, and we're going to talk about, it's fairly new. I just started seeing some chatter about it, but about the Mesa Cares Act for small businesses. Jeremy, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, Michael. Thanks for having me. I look forward to our conversation, and hopefully we can help some Mesa small businesses today.
Absolutely. So tell me, there's been even more chatter about the federal loans, PPP, EIDL, which some people had a hard time getting, but now it seems like Mesa is kind of jumping on, trying to help local people to Mesa. Give me, first of all, just a quick breakdown of what it is.
Right. So Mesa received $90 million from the federal government because we have a population of over 500,000. So we obviously just hit that mark, I think, in the last year or two. So I guess we sort of got lucky because I believe the city's under 500,000. They didn't receive any of these funds. So we're going to get $90 million. And the purpose of that money is to allocate it to people that were impacted by COVID. So I believe it's just like the PPP, right? The goal is to get the money out fast. So the issue is that the Treasury is not being really clear on what the requirements are or how the money needs to be spent. But it seems like the broad statement is it's there to help people who are impacted by COVID-19.
Okay. And so is this for residents living in Mesa who own a business, or does the business actually have to be in the city of Mesa?
That's a great question. I believe that it's for businesses that have a physical address in the city of Mesa, regardless of where the owners actually reside. And to be clear, so the program is $90 million that we've received from the federal government. My understanding is to date, we've discussed a $10 million allocation towards feeding Mesa citizens through money spent on issues with the two food banks, Midwest Food Bank and United Food Bank, and 20 million towards what I essentially is the equivalent of the PPP program from the federal government. So 30 million of the 90 has been allocated so far, and I'm not 100% sure what direction we're going with the other 60 million. And that's, I think, still to be determined.
Okay. So speaking of the PPP said, this loan is forgivable if it's allocated to certain things, employees, utilities, mortgage /rent/lease. Is that how the city of Mesa is going to do it as well?
Yeah. So, and sorry, I'm working from home, obviously, so that during the whole lockdown and my son's in the background yelling, which is fine. That's life. That's the new life that we're accommodating.
Exactly. So. Everyone's used to it at this point.
Yes. So the way that I understand that we're allocating this money, and again, it's a lot of it hasn't been 100% determined yet. It's still in the works. I think what they're trying to do is throw the application out there, see what kind of responses we get from the small businesses, and then try to chunk up the allocation based on the data that we receive from people. So it's kind of like the PPP, except PPP was used for payroll specifically. And this program is more geared towards rent, mortgage, and utilities. I believe those are the three things that this can be applied towards. So, it'll be interesting. I think we're trying to avoid some of the pitfalls of PPP and at the same time make sure that we're stimulating the local economy. And obviously rent, mortgage, and utilities are going to do just that, or at least provide people that gap that they need in the lost revenues.
Right. Okay. Another question that I had, so let's say you applied for PPP, you already got it. Does that disqualify you from applying for this loan through the city of Mesa?
Right. And to clarify, it's I don't know if we've said loan in the part of this conversation, but this is actually a grant. This is just a full-blown grant. I don't believe you have to apply for any kind of forgiveness. It's literally just going to be a grant. So it's not money that you would have to pay back in any way. And I apologize, I forgot what was the question.
If you already received the PPP loan, are you able to qualify for this?
So correct. If you've already received the PPP loan, it actually disqualifies you from this program. But it'll be really interesting because I had asked, is there a provision to claw back money if somebody applies for PPP and then they end up receiving both? And I sort of got some pushback on that because I think they're trying to keep the ordinance simple so that it's easier for people to digest. So I think I got some pushback as far as I'm actually putting something like that in there. But I think it will be interesting because, as I own multiple small businesses, and from my perspective, I don't know why a small business wouldn't apply for the PPP. And the limitations of receiving PPP they're pretty lenient, right? I mean, I don't know if you personally applied, but there's only 8 things that you have to certify. And one of them's like, have you been convicted of a felony in the last 5 years? I mean, it's not, did you already apply for an SBA loan? So there's not stringent requirements. So it'll be interesting for me to see the applications that actually come in, because again, I don't know why all businesses wouldn't have already applied for the PPP. Well, the PPP loan is actually a grant as well, right? As long as you spend it on payroll, rent, I don't know what else.
Payroll, rent, utilities.
Yeah.
So that's another question. So my wife, she owns a dance studio in Mesa. All her teachers are not technically employees. They're 1099 contractors. So she wasn't able to qualify or apply for the PPP. Do you have those same stipulations on the City of Mesa grant?
Well, no, because it's not, the PPP was specific to payroll, True. Right? Okay. So like in this instance, since it's rent, mortgage, and utilities, I assume she does have, she has a physical dance studio. She would have all of those. I would assume she absolutely is going to fall within inside the requirements.
Okay.
Yeah. And the 1099 thing has been interesting, right? So I've had I consult with a lot of small businesses, not like on a paid thing, but like I just have a lot of friends that own small businesses, just being in the community. So I have a lot of people that have reached out to me as far as the PPP thing goes. And a lot of them are in the same exact boat. They don't actually have payroll. They're small business owners. They pay people 1099. And it's been a while since my business was situated that way. But I think when you don't have payroll, what do you just take all your money as dividends? Then I'm assuming is that how it works
I think for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that there was a program for that, right? I know PPP, right. You could still apply. They did come out with an independent contractor, right? Like they said, if you're an independent contractor, you can apply for PPP, even if you don't have payroll. It was like the second phase of PPP. But I don't know the exact, like if you were like a hair barber or a nail salon or something, I think that's where those may have fallen. But no, we don't have those same stipulations. My understanding is, we have $20 million. We're trying to get it just like the federal government. We're trying to stimulate the economy, get it out the door as fast as possible. And, so there's not strict requirements like that on the program.
Okay. And do you know, so with PPP, it was 2.5 times your payroll. How are you going to determine how much each business gets for the grant?
Yeah. So I think we had discussed that at the council meeting, either this week or last week. And I don't think they have the answer to that yet. I think what they're doing is waiting. What we had heard was there's roughly 11,000 small businesses physically in Mesa. You have to have a physical address. It can't be a home-based business. And the allocation was 20 million. So I think rough math that I did in my head, it was roughly $2,000 per business if every single business were to apply for it. But my understanding is they're going to break it up into different tiers. Like if you have less than 50 employees, more than 100 employees, more than 200 employees. But again, it's all like all the government programs right now, they're all like in this rough draft mode, right? They're kind of just doing it as they move along.
Okay. Something else that I should have asked. So if you applied for the PPP, you're disqualified. What about the one that came out first, the EIDL? Does that disqualify you as well if you got money from that?
I haven't heard. No, we haven't discussed that. So I don't know if EIDL is broadly defined under PPP, but we haven't discussed that at any of the council meetings. So I would assume that it would be okay to apply for this, even if you did receive the EIDL.
Okay. And is this going to be running? Are you going to run it through financial institutions? Is it just going to be a straight check that's sent to the business, or do you have any idea how that's going to work?
So I believe what we're experiencing right now is we have a lot of employees who are on the sidelines for things that are closed, right? Like parks, libraries. So I believe what we're doing is trying to take that staff and then retool them to analyze all these applications. And then I would assume push that money directly to the business. Now, there's been talk about pushing the money directly to like SRP or the city of Mesa. But we don't own all of the utilities across the entire city. So it would be interesting to see how difficult that would be, or if there's going to be a stipulation where if you have a city account, then maybe it gets credited, but if you don't, then you get a check. I don't know. It'll be really interesting because, like I said, they're turning it on the fly, right? So,
right.
I think when the program ends and they have more, they're kind of building it along the way.
Okay. So would your advice be just, hey, if you think you qualify, just get your application in and then just wait and see what happens?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just like the PPP, right? It's like you may or may not qualify, but why wait? Go fill out the application, get first in line. And well, to be clear, this program, my understanding, there is not a first in line, but nonetheless, if they get overwhelmed with applications being at the top, I can't see hurting. So yeah, I would just apply for it. And then I assume at some point, staff or somebody will reach out, or part of the application will say something to the effect of, have you received PPP? You check a box and then you get disqualified. But I can't imagine this is going to be, a rigorous application. So why not apply and see what happens would be my advice.
Awesome. Okay. Do you know when the application is going to be available and where?
I do. It's actually a link. So the URL, and I'm sure you can put it in the comments or something once we're finished, but it's mesaaz.gov/cares biz grant. All one word is the website that has all the details on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll post it in the comments below. And any indication as to when that'll be available?
Right. So the applications will open on Monday at 8 a.m. So this Monday, 3 days from today, the 11th. And then they're going to close it on, the website still says May 24th, but I think they may have revised that because we're trying to get the money out sooner rather than later. Not 100% sure if that's accurate, but the website does say May 24th. So it looks like it'll be open for a couple of weeks once they open it on Monday.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. I think you explained it pretty well. I don't have any questions. Do you feel there's anything else pertinent that you want to mention?
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I would mention, going back to, I think a previous conversation you and I had offline, which is the PPP loan, right? I think there may be a lot of small businesses out there that still don't realize that the federal government is literally giving away a grant if you are impacted by COVID-19 for 2.5 times your average monthly payroll to businesses that apply for an 8-week duration of any money that you spend on payroll, rent, and utilities. I think I even posted a link on the PPP on my blog that I have, so people can read about that. But I would just encourage people to make sure they're applying for everything that they can. I know. Little off topic, you and I have talked about, the government and printing of a lot of money right now, which is what they're doing to solve the problem, right? They're just printing money and asking questions later. So I just think it makes the most sense that if people are impacted, applying and get in line.
Absolutely.
Because it's all going to be there. So.
Yeah. And something from my experience. So I did apply for the PPP. Initially, I did it through Bank of America because that's who I have my business checking with. That was a complete disaster. I lost out on the first round. So shortly after that, I spoke with a bank that's specific to the insurance industry. And within a day, my application was approved and submitted. And then the same day that the funding was approved for the second round, I got the amount deposited into my checking account. So I would tell people, if you're trying to go through a large bank and you're not getting anywhere, go to a local community bank, and the process should be a lot more simple.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I have multiple friends and different businesses that I've worked with on getting the PPP loan. And it was the same exact thing. You had companies or banks like Wells Fargo, who just weren't responding. Or I think there's even, I may be mistaken, I think there's even a lawsuit against Wells Fargo because they prioritized certain customers over others. Now, there's a bank that once we found the bank that was actually getting the applications approved and then kicking out, that then we started pushing everybody in that direction. But that bank was, if I give a plug to them, was Notre Dame FCU, or Federal Credit Union, and I think they're located out of Phoenix. But the multiple businesses I pushed in their direction, it was like one day they got the application in the first day, they were approved by day 2 or 3, and receiving funding by business day 5 to 7, depending on if you were missing supporting documents. So and the other problem was, if you didn't have a relationship with some of these small banks, they wouldn't even talk to you, right? Like you go apply, like, hey, you don't have an account, go away. But again, I think there's a list that exists out there somewhere of all the different credit unions that don't require that you have a relationship. But regardless, I'm going to give a plug to Notre Dame FCU multiple times, just because I personally watched them, expedite this process on numerous occasions. And I know they're fully capable.
Awesome. Okay. Good to know. Great. Well, Jeremy, thank you for being with us. Great information. And I'll link Jeremy's information down below as well if you have questions. And then I'll link a link to the website where you can fill out that application Monday morning at 8 a.m. Thanks, Jeremy.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for your time, Michael. And always, I love small businesses. So if there's any other questions or anything else you ever want me to answer, feel free to reach out. I can do things like this. I even think what I might try to do is I'll reach out to the president of Notre Dame and see if we can't get him to maybe answer a few questions for us in regards to the PPP stuff.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Okay.
Yes. That's why I love you as our Mesa City Councilman, because you own small businesses yourself, so you know how to help small businesses. So that's great. You've been helpful to me and many others I know. So yeah, guys, please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate, reach out to Jeremy. I know he's willing to help. So
absolutely.
Thanks again, Jeremy.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.